All right, y'all. Welcome to the next installment of the Dismount Podcast. And today, the boys and I, we are saddling up and we are discussing wolf packs. My dog thinks she's the alpha.
Why don't we get right into that?
How about that?
Why don't you set the stage?
So we're basically getting together just to bullshit and talk about the different roles that you play in your friends groups or your wolf pack, your group that you hang out with, your community. We're going to tie in actually I did a little bit of research this past week on wolf packs and I'm kind of interested. I'm very interested in the hierarchy of the wolf pack and the way they set it up, because to me it's just the complete opposite to an indigenous tribe, but I also don't know how well the information that I've been relayed to on an indigenous tribe really is true or not. So I guess what
I want to hear anyway.
Let's break this down real quick. Let's break this down real quick. So the way that the wolf pack is set up is there is the alpha male. He's not always the strongest, but he's the strongest and the wisest. So he has the most amount of wisdom, and he's the one who basically he asserted his alpha status that no one wanted to take on him, right?
Yeah.
So he picks a female. She is not the strongest. It's just his choice. So she then becomes the alpha female. And in the wolf pack, the only two that are allowed to breed are the alpha male and female. Underneath of them are the beta male and the beta female. And yeah, kind of interesting, beta and whatnot. On the secondary, that's why it was real interesting that they're on the secondary. So they are not allowed to breed, but they're the second in command. And they're the ones who would step in charge if the alpha male or female were to go down. So if the alpha male goes down, the beta male steps in. The alpha female is no longer who she is. Beta female becomes the alpha female now. Underneath of that are the subordinates. So these are the wolves that grew past 2 to 3 years old is when a wolf becomes an adult, and they're out of their adolescence. So they're the ones who decided to stay with the actual pack. They become the hunters and the protectors of the actual pack. They look after all the cubs. They look after basically making sure that stuff happens. Underneath of that are the omegas, and that is the last ranking in the hierarchy. And the omegas are predominantly, they're the runt of the litter. They're the smallest, they're the weakest, but they have one of the most important roles. Because they're the smallest and the weakest, they become the peacekeepers of the actual pack. So when two subordinates are starting to step to each other and causing issues within the ranks, the peacekeeper, the omega, steps in because he'll never challenge anybody because he's the weakest. So he steps in and tries to create the peace between the two of them. And the one who's ultimately was probably the more dominant out of the two that were going at it, then puts his attention on the omega. And that's when the omega drops his ears down, drops his head down, and basically I'm not going to do anything to you. And that's when that guy, his attention is now dissipated, and now the peace has been kept. Interesting. But the way that the food system works, whenever they get a hunt, the omega or the alphas eat first, the betas eat next, the subordinates, and then the omegas. So the omegas always stay the weakest because they just get the smallest amount of food. It's interesting. I feel like from what I've been taught in terms of old indigenous tribes and even indigenous tribes that are still around today, the elders don't eat first. Like the leader of the pack or the chief, I don't feel like he's eats first. I feel like he's concerned with making sure that everybody else is taken care of, and then he gets his own. I might be completely wrong on that, and I might have been taught an entire history of indigenous tribes that is wrong, but I've just always been taught that it was more of a system of take care of the weakest, the weakest link in your army, because the weakest link in your army is ultimately where you're going to be attacked and
Yeah.
where you're going to be vulnerable.
Right.
So you, as that leader who knows that I have this strength and this capabilities, it's just interesting to me, like the difference between a human and a wolf, like, or like hierarchies or packs, but that mentality of, you know, the alpha eats first is like the old, you know, kingdoms that we see, like
Right.
the king got all the glory, all the gluttony, all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
because he was the, you know, ruler, he got everything before all the peasants below him.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting that like the wolf pack follows that, but the wolf pack is so much about community that they would take care of each other, that they're so strongly tied together that our society is kind of set up like that. Like the people who are in charge, they get the most.
Yeah.
Right? The 1%ers, they get all the good stuff. And we just push down, you know, whatever's left over is there for you guys.
Yeah.
I was trying to like put everything together of how things are set up. And that's where this whole, you know, episode came about of my dog thinks she's the alpha. So it's funny, you know, Ruby is always challenging me for the alpha status. And we joke because we went to the vet and the vet said something to me of, you know, the reason why that happens is because she looks at you as the alpha.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I'm not the alpha. I said, she's the alpha. Haas is the alpha. Anastasia's the alpha. What would make you think that? And Anastasia's like, some lady in the back corner is like, good answer, kid. And so Anastasia's like, well, you know, I'm like the one who's in charge. Like, yeah. And vet goes, no. He's the alpha. And it was just funny because when you look in the wolf pack, the alpha male never fights anybody unless his like status is fully pressed. Someone's trying to steal that. Then he steps up, shows his dominance. But his dominance comes from eyes, facial expressions, shrugs, and his emotions that he's basically like giving off with just his, you know, stances and stuff like that. So fascinating that like I've seen like true alphas now, and like my grandma I think is actually like an alpha because that's how she handles life. So like she doesn't tell you you're wrong, but she goes, Zachary,
you know what you're in for.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like you already know you're wrong.
Through
She
past
doesn't have to say
experience,
anything.
you're probably dumb enough to challenge that one time, then you found out, and now you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. I'm interested to see like where you guys have felt like what roles we've played in our friends groups, because there are a lot of different roles to play in friends groups. Like they claim that there's the mother, and the mother is the one who's like always getting everything together. Like she's the organizer, like he or she is the coordinator, the planner, like always bringing people together and trying to get people to do stuff.
Yeah.
But then there's the person who actually is the collector almost, to where like everybody wants to be around them. Like they are basically like the heartbeat of the friends group. They're the most liked per se. I don't know. I wouldn't get into like a well-respected versus well-liked on that.
Great callback.
Because
you know, no reason to, right?
Right. Exactly. But I would say that person is as much well-liked as they are respected. And I don't know. Where do you guys, like, I've seen myself, like, for instance, the friend group that we've had that we'll call the Regina group. All right. I would say that I've probably played that mother role per se, not because I'm a year older than everybody else, but like, I would say that Derek has definitely played that collective, everybody, like get everybody together
Yeah,
kind
it's
of thing.
exhausting.
But
You
like,
guys are exhausted.
oh my goodness. I can't tell you how many times Derek and I have had the conversation back and forth of like, you got to be fucking kidding me, right? Everybody's got their phone on them. No
Yeah,
one fucking
what's up?
answered.
Yeah,
No
what
one
are we doing?
answered.
What are we doing? I mean, I know what you're looking at. Sent you Snapchat 20 minutes ago. You opened it. I mean, come on.
Like, I know. Come Friday at 5:00, you're gonna be going, hey, what's going
Hey,
on?
what are we
Anybody
doing?
doing anything?
Yeah, what are we doing?
Oh, we've only been talking about this since Monday, but whatever. It's okay. Whatever.
Can't plan things 2 days in advance. It has to be 5 hours in advance.
Yep.
Yes. It seems like it.
2 hours in advance.
Yeah. 2 hour notice.
Like, what are you doing tomorrow? I don't know. Then tomorrow comes, hey, you want to do something? I want to do something yesterday. I'm speaking from your neurons, not as if I'm that person who has been planning, because I'm not. I'm the other guy.
Yeah, so I would say I definitely have taken that like planner, like, oh, we gotta get we're trying to get down to the bar now, like, oh, we gotta get the Ubers called, all that kind of stuff, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I don't like that role.
Yeah.
I will say, like, someone's gotta play it, but I'll tell you what, that is like, for me, I don't like this role. I
Yeah.
don't like this role.
Yeah.
Mainly because like that role is, yeah, everyone wants that role because everybody wants like things to be coordinated and they don't want, to have to do all the heavy lifting of, well, who the fuck decided for us to go here? That burden of it being the wrong decision made. No one wants that. No one wants that. And let me tell you what, having that burden on your chest is not difficult if you just don't give a fuck. Like, all y'all motherfuckers could be sitting at home right now.
Yeah.
You could all be sitting at home right now. So the fact that we're all together is a plus. So like, it is what it is.
Yeah. No, it's appreciated. I think on that side too, when I've had to fall into that role, because I feel like when you change up the friend group that you're with, like if I'm with the Regina group or then I fall into coworkers or something like that, like that'll definitely change. I think that's what makes it interesting, because then I've had that mother experience and you're like, okay, we're going to go here and then we'll meet at this place and we'll all park here and go down from there. And dude, that stinks. Because like, you can't, there's no relaxing, man. Like that's the closest I've ever felt to being a mother in my life. You know?
You're on edge the whole time.
Yeah, you're just
on edge
everything.
the whole time.
What's he doing over there? Don't get in trouble. No, come on. Don't do this.
No, we're not getting duties. Get in the car.
Yeah, we're not getting duties. Get in the car.
Come on, you already had one.
Dude, the raising
You're
your
gonna-
voice. Yeah, some looks come out like, don't do it. Don't go get Mike and Tony's. Don't. Kyle, get over here.
I'll put you down right now.
No, you can't pee in the alley. No. We're in Southside.
That's when I felt it too with Kyle. Kyle was like, when Kyle was making his hay
Oh my goodness.
back in the day, dude, like that, I was going out and embracing the mother status because the ride was just too much fun.
He went.
Yeah.
He gets into a different dimension.
He exits his body. It's gone. He is gone. And it's so his eyes. I don't think I've ever been like that in my life. Like Kyle has his drunk eyes, man. I love him, but like he knows it too. And you could just see him leave his body.
Yep.
And some of the funniest things I've ever seen a human being do or have ever done was during like those times with him.
Oh, without a doubt. Without
Absolutely.
a doubt. And it's so for him. It's fun. It's so funny and fascinating because 1 second he'll walk out of the room and come right back around, and you could see it in his face. You're
All of a
like,
sudden.
oh
Yeah.
shit, here
Doesn't
we
make any
go.
sense. I was
Yep.
just talking to him, and it comes back around like, oh man, what happened?
John's house, perfect example. Halloween the one day.
Yeah.
It was like playing Pong, he was doing fine, and then like a few minutes later, it was like all of a sudden, turn the page.
Gone. though.
Turn the page. Yeah, but anyway, I think those roles in that sense, like, it's fun to get a taste of the different ones. I think that's like what I wrote. I think thinking of what you brought about the pack mentality and whatnot, I feel like as we kind of evolve in society, at least, like you kind of have to be the shapeshifter almost of like falling into different, because in the packs you roll, sure, but
Yeah.
overall I think that's what makes us versatile, or the need to be versatile, because you have to be willing to accept a different role depending on what situation you find yourself in. And that makes it really tough, because you have to be like on your toes at all times, willing to bow out when you know it's your time to. And depending on the kind of person you are, that can be tough.
Yeah. You hit a fantastic point right there of, so I had this role when I'm in this group of people, but then when I go to work, I might have a completely different role.
Yeah.
And okay, that person takes this role when we're here in this group, and I got to take a step back because that person does this role for this group way better than I could. Or that's just their place, and this is their place to shine. I shine when I'm back with my friends group. I don't need to shine here with my work group. You know, I love that. Like, where is my place to do my due diligence, and where is my place to just enjoy the ride or enjoy the moment that's going on?
It's a relief sometimes to be able to bow out.
Yeah.
Like if you hold one of those roles that's always organizing or being in charge, and then you find yourself in, oh, cool, I don't have to do that. That's relaxing, because you could, but then you'll sit there, if that's a role you typically have, that you'll be in the background like, oh, yeah, I would have done that different, you know?
Yeah, you guys
would have rolled with that.
Yeah. Well, I think that's even cooler, because now you have those opportunities to learn.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, I can sit back and just kind of observe this shit and then take it. Like, well, now I'm teaching myself all this cool stuff in the process of sitting back and learning. I think it's fascinating. Like, the stuff we really hit on is awareness. Like, it's just a continuous reoccurring theme. And having that awareness of when is my time to step up, and when is my time to, you know, take a back seat. You know, someone else is driving the bus right now. It doesn't need to be me. I think that's really cool. I think, Brandon, I'm curious. I hit two quick ones, but coming from your background, what would be some other roles that you could play in a friends group that we could talk about?
Some of the ones that stand out right away is like some of Jung's archetypes. So there's, I think the anima is the female, animus would be like the male, but you could like start to play like a more nurturing role, or like the mother you said, or like have a lot more of like the masculine traits as the animus. But then you could also see maybe around your friend group you let your shadow show a little bit more. I would say that you guys know a lot more about like my vulnerabilities, but also like my dark sense of humor. Like, we have a lot of like pretty sick jokes, but not a lot. I have a lot of sick jokes.
Speak for yourself, man.
Yeah, don't put me in that category, guy.
So I would not. I've shared
Boss.
like, I would say I've probably shared two of my sick jokes with coworkers, because I'm like, no, you can see a little sliver, but like, I'm afraid of how much you might like hear about my sense of humor. So like, I'll share more of my shadow with you guys versus at work I won't show. There's also in there's the fool, the person who's willing to be a fool. Either you're a fool because you don't know anything and you're trying to learn, or you're a fool because you don't know anything and you're not trying to learn. But the fool has the potential to become any other character. I often really like seeing myself as like the savior, but then again, it's not always a good thing, because the savior tends to be like self-sacrificing, and they end up like compromising things that they believe in so that everyone else around them is comfortable.
So is that the people pleaser?
Yeah, that'll often be the people pleaser, the
Okay.
person who,
Man of the people.
yeah, just like can't help themselves.
That's my man.
Glutton for punishment.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's me in like every role. It was like my guilt will override my sense of like accountability.
Glutton for punishment.
Yeah. It's like, man, what the hell, man? Why are you cleaning under there? No one's ever going to see it. I'll know it's there. But
Imagine Brandon's headstone when he gets buried. Just Brandon Smith, a glutton for punishment.
Son
Man of
bitch.
the people,
Man of the people.
glutton for punishment.
But yeah, I feel like that often plays out for me in most roles. But I've seen it as the roles. My take on it is the roles are determined by the rules, like with a U, and kind of where you're fitting in. And we're talking about the packs. I was thinking about it's really interesting with just an ecosystem in whole when you're thinking about the packs, because it changes based on the niche. If you go to like the indigenous people route, the niche of it is for the birth rate to exceed the death rate. So in order for that indigenous people to evolve, the death rate needs to go down and the birth rate needs to go up. So how does that happen? We have to bring everybody else with us up so that we could reproduce more. In the wolf pack, the numbers aren't actually great. If you increase the birth rate too much, then there's not going to be enough food for everyone.
Yeah.
So they're like, we have to have this hierarchy. But then, kind of like we were talking about, like systems in general, those systems don't need to happen. They're just, that those 1%ers are already up there. It's already happening, and they don't need to be as greedy as they are. But I shouldn't say it like that. We're in a capitalist society. I could be as greedy as I want if I was ambitious enough. But my values keeps me outside of that and towards more honest work. And I would say that the niche of our group is kind of what determines our hierarchy, is my roundabout answer. And I think our group, we have set rules and roles subconsciously and consciously. So we have basically, at least within this ecosystem, we have like the rules of like, no one's going to step on each other to get above. And if there's ever anything that's happening that one of us doesn't like, we communicate about it. And then also it's kind of like the unspoken thing where if we're all swimming and one person is getting tired, to like grab the other person and be like, hey, you seem like you're not really swimming as hard. Are you okay? Like I think in our niche, as far as this subgroup and the Regina group, it kind of it feels like we definitely have like rules and roles that we play. And I see myself still, it's a relief in this ecosystem to not have to be as much of a people pleaser. So that's
I think it's a real relief in this friends group to not. I will say in other friends groups, I feel like there is judgment. Like I can't tell you that I've ever sat down and had a conversation really with anybody in this friends group that was like a direct shot at someone's way that they live their life. I can say openly and honestly that you and I have had conversations of why the fuck doesn't anybody.
I was like, dude, what are you talking? No, not that I take it personally, but yeah, we've gotten close to that line.
We've danced on that line, but it's mainly just been like why the fuck doesn't anybody answer these goddamn texts? Everybody wants to hang out. Everybody wants to do something, but no one wants to freaking answer the damn text. But it's never been a shot at someone's character.
Well, no, what I meant between me and you is just our conversations to each other in general too. Like, but I think that comes from a place of wanting to see the best in the people around you too. Like when you and I always like, if there's a way we can hold each other accountable, it's open, but it's always taken in the right way. And I think that's admirable in the sense of the group we have.
I've never been able to talk to someone the way that I talk to you.
Yeah.
If I talk to most people the way that I talk to you, I wouldn't have fucking friends. I really wouldn't, because
it's so true.
It's true. Like we built
you can say whatever you want. I go, I mean, like I completely understand you. So like when you talk, I'm like, oh, like, yeah, if Brandon said this, it wouldn't make any fucking sense. And I'm just being honest. Like, cause that's just who you and I are as people. And I think just that's how Brandon falls into, like, there's ways we're very similar in the way we communicate too. And I think with like Brandon, like completely different ways that make him probably better, to be honest. But
different. But
there's an understanding there. It's different, in my opinion, better. But like with that, I can see like you go like, well, this, and this, and you can openly talk about how, between whether it's me or things I've done, and it's never taken the right or the wrong way. It's always taken the right way in the sense that like it's always because you seek better in that person.
Well,
That's the way I've always taken it. But I think that can be the same thing for Brandon too. But it's communicated in different ways depending on the people you're talking to.
I think the two of us saw that how much of a mirror the people who we surround ourselves with are for ourselves. Like we built that awareness before we even really realized what the hell the awareness was.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't that like why do I want to hang out with this group of friends? It's because I like what, goes on with this group of friends. But wait, hold up. I didn't even really realize why I was a part of this, or I didn't take any time to like sit here and have awareness of why I enjoy hanging out with this group of people over this group of people or that group of people. Well, then I never really took any like stock in why I was even hanging out with whoever I was hanging out with or why I was drawn to that community or that wolf pack. And I think for the two of us is before either of us even realized like what awareness was, because I had no clue what awareness was. I had no clue what discernment was before I was 28 years old. There's no doubt about that. I had no clue what spirituality was or any of that kind of interesting shit. So to sit here and say that I knew what awareness was, I did not. I was just I was a soul walking in a meat suit and had no clue what the hell he was doing.
Yeah.
Man, I was just following.
Just
I was
vibing out
following
there.
those rules and those roles, and I thought that I needed to fit into some certain role, and that's where going forward is the mentality of being the water. Is I want to be like water, man, and that's where the person who I feel like can go from their friends group to their work group to a professional group or to a family group and can continue to be that certain role in those different groups. Not, I bring the same shit to each one and that's who I am and I'm rigid and I don't let anything change.
Yeah.
But no, I feel like the person who's able to maneuver through all those is the water.
That's exactly
Because
the thought I had.
the water's gas, the water's liquid, the water's solid. I want to be water, man. You are never going to be able to fully categorize Zach frickin' Nickel. Like, I'm this, I'm that. I want it to be the point where, like, if for some reason, which we will, but it's not that I want to, like, I don't want, obviously, that's the whole goal of this is to build up a following, but like, I want people to like see my stuff over the years and be like, wait, that guy rides a bike and plays video games? Wait, he's got an entire like cooking show? Like, what the fuck else does this guy do? Like I want like half of the amount of people to not even know what the other half like of the stuff that I do. Like we're building out 3 different brands and I want it to be like people from each of those different brands doesn't even really even know that the other brands exist. You know what I mean? Like it would be great crossing all those across from each other, but that's where I think that walking into all these different friends groups is I don't see Brandon as like a dead set thing in our friends group. I don't see myself as just like, oh, I feel like I could have classified myself as the mother at one point in time, but I wouldn't put myself in that category of that's what it is. I think that that's what made this friends group so amazing was when it is the thing that you're most passionate about or you're most excited about at that point in time, someone has always stepped up. Like, look at John's parties down at his place. Like, that's what he's excited about. So there is no like, John is the mother when we're getting those Halloween parties together, those things. Like, we're going up, let's say we're going to do a day float. Well, kayaking is Kunz's thing. So like when we're doing kayaking and that kind of stuff, everyone's looking to him to ask questions or like, hey, how the hell do I actually paddle? You know, like he's the one to teach that stuff. I feel like that's what's made this friends group so fantastic is like if you look back in high school at the group of friends, you want to tell me that there wasn't like potentially the two ringleaders, like the two people that everybody gravitated towards and they were kind of the ones that, you know, ran the group of friends. If one of them wasn't there, the other one was. And if the two of them were together, they were more connected with each other than they were the actual friends group. I can, for my group of friends, I can say that there were two ringleaders that everybody gravitated towards. And when the two of them were together, it was like they were more connected than everybody else.
Not They're doing it for themselves.
I wouldn't even say that. But
it's some like self-sufficient type act, you know? It's
possibly.
All right, come on, yeah, come over here. Let's all do it. And they're just sitting in the corner like,
I mean,
I don't
hell
know.
if I know, but hell if I know what's going on in the mind. But that doesn't seem like that's not out of the realm, you know. So I think that's what makes a potential friends group and a community in our society able to withstand the test of time. Is whatever it is at that point in time that we're doing or we're pursuing, someone in that group has that strength. We give them that opportunity and that platform to raise them up, and they step onto that pedestal, and we support them. That's what I've seen.
Every single person has had that opportunity, has always taken. I think that it's always just been an understanding, which has always made it nice. It's what keeps us. We don't have to talk for months. I mean, there's times where when Brandon moved to Ohio, I doesn't talk to Brandon for months. You know,
Except we'd be coming back and we'd be going over and singing some karaoke
every time, every single time. But I think that understanding, as long as Brandon's healthy and happy, then like we're good. Yeah, as long as Brandon's breathing, then we're good. There's enough background, enough understanding there that there doesn't have to be spoken word every day or text messages to make sure. It's just. That's what makes it cool. And I think that falls into a lot of friendships too. Like those are the best ones. The people you can just go without talking to and then there's no explanation needed. Like there's people out in Beaver County. I see them when I see them and I love them. And you know, there's an understanding that, cool, I might not see you or talk to you for months. And like, it's not needed on either side. But the second we hang out, it's like it was the first time we hung out.
Right. I love that. I love it because it's that place where it's true connection. Like, and I don't want to sit here and say that there's no other way to truly connect. That's kind of, I want to reel that back in on what I just said, but having that ability to be able to, like, our society is so chaotic now. And our day to day is so nuts. Like, I try to time chunk my day out, and then I'm sitting there and I'm trying to like follow my time chunk. And I'm like, this is daunting. And trying to have that burden of, well, we haven't hung out in so long, so like we're not friends, we're not close.
It's clear, it's clear we don't like each other anymore. I haven't seen you haven't seen me. Totally hate you. Like, it happens.
But I've been dealing with that heavily. Of just we don't spend time together. I'm like, holy shit, like what the fuck are you doing in your day-to-day time that you have all this ability to be able to hang out with people? Like, sometimes I just want to rest, dude. Like,
right.
I just kind of want to take a night where I don't do anything. And it's just like, no, I'm not going to fill that one night a week with going to the freaking bar and hanging out with some people. Like,
in my opinion, if you cared enough to keep tabs, then you know exactly what's going on in my life and what I'm trying to aspire to do or the things that may be going on that keep me away from it. And then you're not sitting there asking questions on why this person doesn't like me anymore.
Yeah.
You can just get a full understanding why, and that probably leads to a better connection anyway.
Right.
Because I found myself doing like, oh, that person doesn't like me. Like, when was the last time I checked in to see like what they were up to and why they're so busy and how their week was going?
Yeah. Or I didn't even know that their significant other was dealing with cancer, or something crazy
Okay,
like
you
that.
sure?
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like,
Yeah.
not that we're dealing with something
Right,
like that,
but
nor
still.
that was but that was just an example of like,
Right.
that would be something that would be crazy, man. Dealing with going back and forth to treatments and doing all kind of different stuff, and that would take a hell of a toll on someone's life.
Yeah.
So why has that person been like a hermit for the last 6 months? Oh, it's because of the. Wow, I didn't even. And how many times do we have to get to a place where it's like okay to just like tell someone, I forget your name. Like, I don't know why that came to me, but
Do
like
not get me started on
walking
that.
through your community and just like instead of just being like, yeah, hey, hi, how you doing? Like, I'm sorry. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is it Joe? Like how hard is it to say that? Like, correct me if I'm wrong. Is it Joe? And I don't think that would be that insulting because I would rather like someone ask me that like than not.
I am so bad about it. What were you gonna say, Ted?
There's two things. There's one, I also appreciate I was able to just show up like the day of in Lancaster at Nick's like couch. Like just showed up, texted him a few hours before, like, hey man, what are you doing? He was like, I'm just watching football with my dad. So Nick being from the original like Regina house is like, yeah, it's a perfect example of, hey, I forgot that you live in Lancaster. I'm in Lancaster. What are you doing? Having beer, watching football with my dad. Cool. Want to hang out? I stop over for an hour and a half with Trisha. Just happened to stop by because I'm like, oh shit, I'm in the same city. Nice, no pressure. Don't got to be like, man, when's the last time you came to Lancaster, Brandon? Like, I don't know, last year? You forgot I live in Lancaster? Yeah, I'm sorry. I forget a lot of things about Lancaster. I forget how to say it, Lancaster.
It's a very forgettable place.
But also, you're talking about names. It just made me crack up sitting over here because I was like, we totally have a guy that we call the wrong name at work. He's had the wrong name for I don't even know how long, and I just found out that wasn't his real name. We'll just use the name Sherman. It's just a very weird name. This dude, I just found out we've been calling him the wrong name forever, and it's not like there's anything that nickname's one thing. I'm not going to say my nickname on here. I'll just say Smitty's my nickname. But at work, I have a different nickname, and I'm like, I'm not sure what that means, but it's better than being called the wrong name.
No one likes that. I do. I've put myself out there to just blatantly ask because I feel like it's better than the alternative of trying to guess or looking stupid and just saying, "Oh, what's up, Cynthia?" Like, "Oh, my name is Jill."
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough. And like in my job, I'll ask. And unfortunately for me, I wish I was better. And if anyone knows a way that I can practice on this, please let me know. But I'll meet somebody, especially at work. Hi, how are you? I know your name because I've planned to meet you. Oh, this is my husband or wife, so and so. And I go, oh, great, Derek, nice to meet you. And then instantaneously, that name that I just heard leaves my brain. It's gone every single time.
It's hilarious.
It's tough because then I go back. I go, okay, I want to take a note because I see them again. I want to go, oh, hey, blah, and also blah because I've met you. And unfortunately for me, that might be the 80th name I've heard all day. But like for them, I'm just the one guy at work helping them. So that is a tough one to the point where I just go, I'm so sorry. Your name, got it, and your name one more time on the way out so I can get it one more time. And then I'm scribbling it down as I walk away. And that's just at work, but in a friends group, man, it's like a respect thing. I mean, work falls into it, but like, oh, this is my new girlfriend, blank. Like, you better know the girlfriend's name. If you care about the people enough, like, you should care enough to know. And I care enough, but also my brain sometimes doesn't like me.
Well, that's where I was tying that back into. I think that's something like that's an alpha trait. That's an alpha trait to try to not be the people pleaser, but be the situational guru, I guess, I was trying to think of a different way to phrase
Situational guru.
But like
That'll be on your headstone.
yeah,
Situational guru.
So here lies
situational
Zach
guru.
Nichols.
But like able to take a situation and know that like, all right, what could come out of me not knowing that person's name? Oh, probably some headaches, and then it'll be even more awkward whenever I don't, know this 6 months from now, whenever I got to work with these people again. So I should probably just, all right. I feel like taking that position and putting yourself into the lower position of power, that person might sit there and go, that person didn't remember my name. I remembered their name. And they might feel power, but in reality, you took the power back because you were the person who was willing to make sure that that situation was completely 100% or as close to 100% as kosher as possible.
And if the respect's there, then they'll understand that you were going out of your way to make sure you knew, as opposed to, hey, next time around, sure, like the initial meeting was great, but that second time around, you thought everything was good. Oh, I like Derek. He's a good person. I couldn't meet you. Like, yeah, what was your name again? I'm sorry. In the wrong terms, that comes off horrible.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Who are you? Like I just said how nice he was on the way here, and then he goes, "Who are you?" I wouldn't do that, but it can be taken that way.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's been so great for our friends group.
It's never been that way with anyone. And then when they attract the right people to bring into the group, like significant others or whatever it may be, or John with like, someone he might go to college with, and there's just an understanding like, hey, like, and I think that's what makes our group cool too, because I can name people that I've met through you, who are your friends, and met through you, who are your friends, and John and his friends, or Praskowicz and his friends, it doesn't matter. Like, that's what makes it cool, is because you trust those people so much that that if they're bringing someone in, then like they're good already.
Yeah.
There isn't a need to really, check them at the door or anything.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
I run fingerprints on all of your friends. All of them.
What's that?
What do you
I
find?
run fingerprints on all of them.
Yeah.
What do you find?
Nothing so far.
You don't find anything?
I'm not very good at it.
You're not very good at it? Real bad at the game.
I'm better at the background checks because whenever everyone pulls out their IDs, I just, take a picture.
You're just you're not gonna become kindergarten cop.
Duh.
No, you don't got them skills.
These are your lunches. Why are you eating them? Stop it.
But yeah, I don't see that this group, the extended Regina group, I don't think that there was a true, one person who can sit there and say that they were the alpha of this group. I think that, like we had said before, it was the situation of, what was going on made that person the alpha for the day.
Yeah.
When it came around to, perfect example, St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day, that is John and Ryan's day. They are the bagpipers. They are the, Praskowicz being in that one of the original ones in the house. Like, he threw down the hardest for St. Patrick's Day. He made St. Patrick's Day what it was in that house when it first started because of his bagpiping and just all that stuff. So, like, coming around for St. Patrick's Day, who are we all following? We're rolling with John and Praskowicz to go, do that whole gig with those guys and be their entourage for the day. You know what I'm saying?
It's still so much fun when it's been done recently, but it's just like the past memories of, like, I think last time we did it was 2020, I think. They did it, and it was like the week before everyone got told to stay home.
Oh, yeah.
It was like that week.
Oh, geez, yeah.
That weekend.
Right.
I remember we were at a bar in like Sheridan playing, and it was wall to wall, just packed. And then that next Tuesday, like, okay, don't come to work. But regardless of that point, or following them around and being like the entourage, like, oh, we got like a money man over, give your money to this guy. They just like, put a gum band around it or something.
Yeah.
That was a blast. But like, I think the fluidity of our friend group is what's cool. Like whether we're going on a float and Zach's getting everything ready to go, or Brandon's going to host everybody to come over and play Xbox. We're going to go to see Earth, Wind, and Fire, and he lays the table. We're going to eat some guacamole and pregame, and then we go out to the concert after. Or Kunz has us up, to go shoot guns in the woods or whatever. Like you just like, we can be fluid enough between each other that there isn't a need to have a distinct person who's always in charge, because we offer so much to each other that we know that like, oh cool, like Zach's like, that's what Zach's strong suit is. Cool, I'm just gonna let him do the thing.
Yeah. I think it's been a beautiful friendship, and that alpha status of, my dog challenging me, and just I haven't felt like that's been anything to this friends group. I can say that I feel like there's other friends groups that I've been a part of where someone was trying to feel that, or get that title, or it seemed like someone was trying to take that title of like, they're the smartest in the group, or they know the most, or I'm the most politically intelligent. And it's just like, gives a shit about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like how well do we connect with each other? How well do we make each other feel loved? How well do we, support each other? Or do we talk behind each other's back to each other of, can you believe what what's his name did? Or could you believe that he said something like that?
Right.
Or can you believe that that's how he thinks? Who gives a shit, dude? There's some really fucked up people in this world. So if someone likes the red coats versus the blue coats, like, what the hell? Like, there's so many more fudged up things that person could be doing that could literally get to the point where you're like, that person does not need to be in this friends group pissed over being on the red owl versus the blue owl. It's just like, holy shit, what are we talking about here? So I think that overall I was very blown away, but I completely understood the hierarchy of the wolf pack and the, alphas eating before the betas, because we're not talking about a massive community, in terms of a wolf pack. We're talking maybe 30 wolves max, probably. I'm going to say that, but I don't know that number, well enough to sit here and be like,
for the exercise,
I'm on Animal Planet,
David Attenborough here.
I am not the Crocodile Dundee. So I would say that in that hierarchy system, if you're going up against other wolf packs, like for instance, I believe that there's 8 to 10 wolf packs inside of Yellowstone that are all fighting each other for the control of Yellowstone, like how much of their hunting grounds is theirs. When you're not talking about a large body or a large entity going up against another large entity, well, 3 wolves, fully yoked out beefcake might be able to take on, 12 against them that aren't, as well beefcaked out. So if I got 3 yoked out homies in this group, they might be the biggest yoked out homies in all of Yellowstone. And we might be a pack of only 12 versus that pack of 20, but no one's going to mess with us because we got the biggest yoked out guys. Like, I don't see how that is the same whenever we're talking about humans and the way our society is set up, because, looking at a wolf pack versus looking at Allegheny County, it's just such a different dynamic. We're not in that mentality where we're living off the land and we're, trying to be a part of nature.
Yeah, I think it changes up. Like I had the exact thought of the sense of community is always there, but to roll like as a pack, you change your hats too much in the things you do. There's no way. And then even so, like I think it's a human desire to wear different hats. I think some people who may be always caught in like the high ranking status, human wise, would probably be seeking the opportunity to feel out all the other experiences too, wear all the different hats. So I think the sense of community is there, and like you want to like go to a sporting event. Like I think that's a great event or a great example on that side of like whether you're a fan or then you're playing on the team. I think it just changes up like with a friend group. I think that's just one thing that we've mentioned as a pack that you can roll with, but those other ones like the roles are more challenged at work or in sports or whatever. If like, but I think then like the fandom of sports falls into more of the friend group. Like there's not like a high ranking official in that. It would come off weird if there was, but I think what makes it nice is you're still looking for that sense of community. There's no need to like play the roles to survive as a wolf would. We're a society that's moved far enough in advance that like as long as you're doing things that benefit society, then society would hopefully benefit you. But I think it's interesting to see that when you say, oh, are humans pack-like? I don't think so. I think there's a desire for it, but there's also a desire to wear all the different jerseys or hats or experience all the different things you can in life.
Yeah, not have a hierarchy system, but a round table system. Where everybody's equal, but I get to sit on that side of the table today, but next week I'm going to come in and I'm going to sit on this side of the table.
All right.
I mean, that's a weird way to put that analogy together.
But it makes sense.
Yeah. It would open the opportunity to where we're all on the same ground, but I want to try out everything I can. I want to experience all these different experiences. Pretty interesting topic today. Well, if you're interested in this kind of stuff or interested in listening to three jabronis talk, but
hell yeah.
I actually find that this was a cool topic to talk about. We got to find some more crazy ones off the wall like this one, because where the hell did we come up with Wolfpack? My dog.
It was your girlfriend. It was Anastasia in here talking, I believe.
When I was driving here, there's Wolfpack Boxing Club on the way.
There is, yeah, right on the corner. Yeah.
Right past the train tracks. As soon as you pass the train tracks, on your right where that garage is, there's a red sign that says Wolfpack Boxing Club. And I looked at it today and I was like, is that where that came from? I don't know if it is, but
they changed the name then. Because that wasn't what it was called. Is there a new sign down there now?
Almost positive, yeah.
I think it's red and black.
Okay, yeah, because they just updated all this industrial park and they just moved a bunch of people around in here. So they might have got a new tenant. All right, y'all. That was Wolfpack. My dog thinks she's the alpha. And we're riding out with Derry. We're riding out with Brandon. And as always, don't trust us. Trust yourself. And just... keep building that awareness and that discernment, and understand that this human experience is a human experience to have fun and enjoy yourself and to learn things along the way. I need to keep reminding myself of that, so that's why I said that at the end.
Well, thank you for reminding yourself.
Closing thought. Anyone think that technology is moving faster than our evolution is? I don't really want to open it up for a full conversation, but concluding my final thoughts on it, that we're born into subgroups and that our technology is allowing us to communicate with way more people than our evolution has programmed us for yet.
Next week on Dismount.
Oh God, we could. When you've gone to eat in park and you've gotten a dinner, have you elected to get dinner rolls or did you get the sticky bun and a dinner roll?
Oh, all I care about is that sticky bun.
Yeah. So as far as the rolls we play and the rolls we eat, I'm not a rolls guy, to be honest.
I'm not a rolls guy.
I'm a buns guy.
Buns guy, dude, for sure.
Not about the rolls or the rolls, just the buns, and they got to be sticky.
I love it. All right, y'all. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Don't hesitate to tune in next week. Episode 23, Money. How the fudge do you balance a checkbook? Where three jabronis who don't know a lot about money talk about it for about an hour. Enjoy.